My name is Dr. Nour Alzubaidi, and this is my story. Today, on Discovering Palestinian Intellect, the special edition of Chatting with Slava the Jordanian on the Mindset Mastery Moments. Welcome back. I am your host, STJ. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Nour Alzubaidi, and I would like, as usual, to give you a little bit of background just to understand where she is coming from. Dr. Nour Alzubaidi is a Palestinian American who has made South Boston her home while pursuing her passion as a dentist. Raised in Jordan, Nour grew up with a deep sense of community and drive to make a positive impact on the world around her, moving to the United States to advance her professional career. So, welcome, Nour. Thank you so much for coming on. I know your life is very busy.
Thank you for having me.
Take us down the memory lane, so to speak, and walk us through the story behind you coming to the United States. When did it start? What triggered it? Was it always a plan? Like when I was in high school, I always wanted to come to the United States to pursue my education. Or there are a special, unique circumstances that made you decide to come to the United States.
So, honestly, it was one of the hardest and most rewarding decisions of my life. I had already finished my dental residency and was working as a periodontist in Jordan, Amman, Jordan. At that time, I had two choices, either to stay in my comfort zone and build a career there or take a risk to grow. And at that time, I chose growth. I chose to leave. And I simply packed my life into 2 suitcases and boarded a flight to the US, chasing not just a dream, but a higher version of myself, with a heart full of dreams and a head full of doubts, because I wasn't sure yet what's the next steps. But then instead of just taking the choice to remain in a familiar environment where I could comfortably build my own dental practice, while that path was certainly stable and secure, I felt it wouldn't offer the kind of challenges and growth I was looking for. So I realized that to truly advance in my field and fulfill at least my professional aspirations, I needed to step out of my comfort zone. And the opportunity to move to the United States presented itself at that time as a chance to invest in my own growth and development. But let me tell you something. Leaving home wasn't easy. I missed everything. But what helped me adapt wasn't just the resilience that we all have as Palestinians. It was the deep-rooted values my parents instilled in me, like faith and hard work. These guided me through the toughest days. And they reminded me who I was and helped me more to create a home here without forgetting where I came from. But as I approached this change with an open mind and willingness to find joy and fun and life in these new experiences, over time I found myself, I was able to create a sense of home in the US by just making connections, exploring new places, integrating the values that are important to me. And it's about finding comfort in new routines and forming new relationships and discovering what makes this a special new place. So while it was challenging at first, the journey has been incredibly rewarding. It's a sign to the idea that with the right mindset and values, you can always build a sense of home no matter where you are.
There's a saying in Arabic, right? الغربة صعبة والثمن غالي, صح? So, yeah. So immigrating is very hard. It's challenging, like you said, stepping out of your comfort zone. But with the right mindset and mastering an unlimited mindset by eliminating limited beliefs. And it takes a very brave young lady, especially being a female, coming from that traditional role expectations, is to not defy, go against, but, sometimes you break the mold, So like the song says, a shooting star breaks the mold. Sometimes it takes bravery and courage and the belief in yourself that this is the right thing for me, and I need to really step out of my comfort zone and have an unlimited mindset to broaden my horizon and believe that I do have options, that I'm not stuck in a certain lifestyle, in a certain structured society, that, I just have to accept it and live in it and never experience the possibilities. What if, what if there is something else out there for me? And I believe that it is a very attractive trait of Palestinians. Palestinians, according to the article that was published by the Columbia Press blog, that they are the world's most educated refugees. Now, I had some guests on this show that believed not because the cause of the Nakba 1948, it's even before that, because of the British mandate in Palestine. We had, universities and schools and the influence of Turkey and Europe and the exchange of knowledge, that, we always had that passion about education. So let's go back. You were born in Jordan, graduated high school in Jordan, got into dental school in Jordan, and you are a gum specialist as far as dentistry is concerned. So how long did you practice in Jordan before coming to the United States?
So 6 years of practice and then moving to the US.
So after dental school, you practiced for 6 years in Jordan? Wow, as a periodontist. Then you came to the United States. Just for our viewers to clarify, because I'm a dentist too, but I am a US graduate dentist.
I had to go through dental school again to be able to practice in the US. So that's another challenge. Or I want to say I looked at it as an obstacle at the beginning for me to make the decision to actually move. It was, what am I going to do? Am I going to go back to school again? I already did dental school. I already did a residency. So that's going through education, doing another degree, or not just another degree. It's repeating your same degree, but in a different country. That's another challenge that I had to go through.
Yes, you did. You did brilliantly. But let me ask you this. So is dental school in Jordan, is it English or Arabic? How are you guys are taught?
In English. So in even in elementary schools and high schools, English was the second language. So the curriculum in all, I would say, even in public and private schools in Jordan, you start learning English from first grade.
And so dental school was all English. Okay. So there was no language barrier, because sometimes, I guess internationally, the whole world professional school is English because it's the primary academic, quote unquote, language. So that made it probably easier, because I cannot imagine trying to translate everything, all your knowledge, especially as a specialist.
So in my studies in the US, I'm a graduate of Boston University. It's an international program. It's a foreign trade dentist program. We were around 80 students in my class, and we're from all over the world. I had classmates who had their first degree in dentistry in a different language, and that was very challenging for them, more than for me, for example, because I learned it in English, so I didn't have to translate, or it's even harder to translate scientific terms than just the speaking language. So they had a hard time going back and forth between their language and how the terms used in their language and the English terms. But in Jordan, you don't have that problem.
Because it's all in English. That's what you're saying. Okay. Well, that's smart. I mean, that is useful, because that gives you, as the Jordan graduates, the opportunity to say, okay, if I want to go to the United States, that's one less challenge I have to worry about, which is the language barrier. Because when you translate science, you have to be very, very good with that tongue language to be able to translate and also relate that message or relate that fact. Now, we always say that leaving our old world into the new world you leave your support system, right? You leave that tribal connection. Some of us come to the United States. I came to the United States. I had no family, no friends, only me and my brother to Case Western undergrad. That's how my journey started. And then my other brother joined. And then, I met my husband undergrad, then I got married. So it just, my tribal support grew from undergrad on. Was it challenging for you to leave everybody behind? Did you have any family or relative here that helped you to go through that transition phase and get, settled in the United States?
I like to consider myself one of the lucky ones. I had my siblings in the US. So I come from a big family. I have 4 siblings, and the 4 of them were already in the US, also seeking higher education. So it was an easier transition for me because when I came to the US, I had my sister and her family waiting for me in the airport, and I had the chance to stay with them for a little bit until I figured out my plans and all that. So I didn't go through the struggle of, oh, I'm coming into nowhere with nobody or no one to ask questions or guide you through this. And I am still lucky to have them around, and I have also my parents around, so they are constant my 911 guy on my phone. So
yeah, always stand by. That must be nice.
They better be.
Yeah. So how long your family were here for? How many years before you came to the United States?
So United States wasn't a foreign country for us because my parents, I want to say almost 50 years ago, they came to the US and they followed their dreams, and they did their higher education in the US, specifically in Boston, so where I live now, ironically. And then we had strong family ties here. All my cousins, they used to live in the US, so in our breaks and school breaks, we used to travel to the US and get to see them. And then my sisters, my other sister, she's been here for the past 20 years. So, followed by my other sisters and my brother, and then me. So it was an easy transition for me. I'm sure if you talk to my other sister, it was a little bit difficult for her because she was the first one to come. So I would I don't think I had an issue with the fact of coming. I had bigger doubts of my future, of what I'm going to be able to do in regards of my career, about my personal life. So I had different things to be worried about.
Oh, our research shows that immigrants, they from anywhere in the world, they show tendency of being very extroverted. You have to be outgoing in order for you to displacing yourself by design or displacing yourself by default. I have some guests that they were displaced by default, coming in from Palestine into Kuwait, from Palestine into Saudi, because there was no opportunity, there are no resources too. But I displaced myself by design because I wanted a better education. And as being a resident of Saudi Arabia, I did not have the citizen rights to go to professional school. You have to be a Saudi. So my option, either Jordan, United States. I'm like you. I'm very more familiar with the United States. Coming to the United States wasn't very challenging to simulate, to adapt and find my place in the United States because I love the United States culture. I experienced it. I traveled in the United States from age 7 to age 17 for about a decade, constantly coming to the United States, spending the whole summer here. Even our household in Saudi, it was traditional Jordanian, but the way that the kids communicate with each other, our style of communication was very American. Our movies were American. We liked American food and all that. So it made it much, much easier when you are exposed to that culture.
That's true.
Yeah. So now
I didn't have to worry about getting the driving license because I already had it through my previous visits. I didn't worry how's the weather, what's the state famous for, or like I even drove between the states before actually moving to the US. So that actually really helped from instead of just coming because you have to, or you are, as you mentioned, you're coming because you had no other choice.
Displacement, again, according to our research, is very traumatic to your mental health, to your well-being, and it's very, very stressful. So if you're displacing yourself by default, you have no other choice. You need to get out. It's different than when you are displacing yourself by design. You're designing it, you preemptively, planning for it. Okay, I calculated everything strategically. It's better for me to leave to seek higher education. Now, you mentioned your parents, they got their education here in the United States. And are they academics? Are they professionals? What?
So both of my parents are both professors in science. My dad is in nuclear physics and my mom has her PhD in chemistry. So we're a science-based kind of family. So that's why I think most of, I will not say most, all of us, my siblings and I, are into science and medical field.
Both of them has PhDs from the United States.
So when my mom and dad got married, my dad was in his PhD program and my mom just graduated from her college. So when they moved to the US, my mom started her master's degree and my dad finished up his PhD. My mom did her PhD later in her life.
Now, did they teach? Did they go into research? What was their career like?
Well, both of my parents were science professors at the university. So by default, you become a researcher when you become a teacher at the university. So at the beginning, when we were kids, my mom was a teacher at our schools. She only taught me one semester, and then we changed the system. My dad stepped out of academia and became more of an administration. His last job was the president of the university, and my mom continued to become like a professor at the college until she retired.
That's amazing. And it doesn't really matter where you come from as a Palestinian or what your background is. It's almost like we have exactly the same story. Our passion towards higher education, it's beautiful. It's overwhelming. It's impressive too. And because of that, I always ask you guys, where does our passion for education comes from? What drives us? What fuels the drive? That fuels that engines? Like, I got to do more. I have to do more. Do you think it's circumstantial, meaning that because of Nakba 1948 happened? Or do you believe that if the Nakba never happened, and the circumstances were exactly the same as during the British mandate for education in Palestine, do you think our passion for higher education would have been exactly the same? Or do you think the Nakba had a lot to do with it, pushing people into, I need more resources, I need to get my freedom through knowledge and education? Because we believe that knowing is growing. And the more you know, the more you grow. And we do have that pressure from the traditional tribal connection that if we get a higher education, we are going to be able to help our community and give back for our family and support our families that are already there. They cannot displace themselves, unfortunately. They cannot leave, or they don't have the means to leave. So what is your views about that? Do you think the passion has always been there, or do you think the Nakba actually put a lot of drive into it?
So I think and I believe, based on stories told by our grandparents, I think it was before the Nakba. But I think because of the Nakba, when many Palestinians were expelled from Palestine, and when they lost everything they had, and then they realized that's the only thing that they cannot be taken away from them is the education, and then that's how they're going to build a good life for them. Education became more important. It it basically broke the limitations that they were faced, and that's why you see a lot on the Palestinian community that there's highly educated and highly accomplished, regardless of their circumstances. Um, and when you become a refugee, you start to look for things that can help you to succeed and get a better life for yourself and your family. So education was the way out. But as I said, and as you mentioned, I don't think that it's but just because of the Nakba. Maybe the Nakba accelerated it because historically, Palestinians have played a crucial role in many sectors. They always have placed a high value in education, and they continue to do so today, despite the challenges, despite the obstacles. There's many Palestinian even Palestinian women who make remarkable strides in various fields, demonstrating both the resilience and the commitment to advancing education. And this only emphasizes that education is not just the individual achievement, but it's also about persevering and nurturing the cultural and the intellectual heritage in the face of the adversity that we have, and stand as a treatment and testament to the strength and the determination of the Palestinians to build a better future, regardless of the circumstances that they grew up in.
Everybody I talked to and everybody that I interacted with, everybody that I encountered here, especially in the United States. I traveled Europe all my life, but I never really met Palestinians in Europe, mostly here. It's the same story. You know, my grandparents implanted education, knowledge. My parents, education, knowledge. My dad used to say, your education is your invitation to the party. When you are higher educated, people are then interested in what you have to say. They want to hear your opinion. They want to hear your position in life. They want to hear your story. They want to learn from your challenges. So education, for the majority of us, is the way out. Like you said, it's the ticket to give us the key to open many, many doors. And hopefully these doors will allow us to impact other people and to let them know that we cannot be in the echo chamber of that stereotype. We're more than tent living refugees. Everybody knows it. Like, you're refugees, you're poor, you had, circumstances, you need help with this, you need help with that. That's not what, from even the guests that I had on so far, that's not what we are doing this for. We are doing this for because we want the world to see us beyond that refugee stereotype. We are more than that. Yeah, we struggled and our people are struggling, still suffering in circumstances under toxic stress. But at the same time, look what we have done. We move forward, we survive, and we thrive, which is fascinating characteristic. How is it even possible when you have population that thinks exactly the same and they're driven exactly in the same way? And that phenomena, one of the reasons that I created Discovering Palestinian Intellect, in my family alone, I have 4 PhDs and 2 or 3 masters, and then I'm a DDS. So, and we talk about it as if like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. I just have, yeah. Yeah, right. It's not hard. It's easy. Go get it. You can do it. Anybody can do it. And that's what my parents always said. Anybody can do it. If you put your mind into it, mastering that mindset, you'll be able to do it. But it was implanted in us that, you have food is as important as education. Education as important as your food. Education is food to your brain, and you need, food is for your physical health. So it is fascinating how driven we are, and I hope the world see us in different light. And that's the whole purpose behind these episodes, which is absolutely beautiful.
Let me just say this. My dad, and he always say, take your education with you like a passport. It will guide you even when the language is foreign. So I find it very symbolic because passport and Palestinians, they the whole it's very symbolic to me the way he say it, and I think it's true. Like, have a good degree and you'll be set free. That's what they always say too. So
it is the ticket to freedom, because freedom is not just a physical freedom, right? Freedom is a intellectual freedom, a mindset freedom, and that gives you emotional freedom, right? You should be able to express yourself by supporting your emotions with the knowledge that you have. Because when you go to school and we go to, college, get your bachelor's, then you get into the higher education, you end up meeting so many different people at so many different levels that will impact your view about the world. And we impact our view about the world, then we can go back and tell to the world that, hey, look, we can do as much as you can do because we are pretty much the same. Unfortunately, our circumstances are not the same, but despite that, we rise above it, we go beyond it, and we get the education in order for us to be in the spotlight and say, hey, we're shining. Come to us. If you want to learn, we can teach you as much as we can to know about our people and to know that, again, we are more than living refugees. We are Palestinian intellects. So now you're in Jordan. 6 years of practice. You decided to come to the United States, right? And then you meet the love of your life in the States. Right? Okay. So everything happens. The reason that I'm mentioning it, because I don't want the viewers to think that we get married through arranged marriages. We get to meet our partners in life, and now you are settled. So was that part of the plan?
Sure. I actually married my husband the same year that I started school, but I already had applied. So all the application and the preparing was before meeting my husband. So it worked out for us to be in the same state at the end. But I didn't meet him in Jordan. Funny enough, we live less than 1 mile apart back home. I've never met him in our neighborhood. I met him here in the U.S.
Interesting path, seriously. So you guys met in Boston, and you find out that he was just he grew up a mile away from where you grew up. So the funny thing is, I think you mentioned to me that you're from Dahit Rashid, صح? So you were born in Rashid. So that's where my dad used to own his residential building, that we had an apartment there. So every time we went to Jordan, we stayed in Rashid. So the last time I was in Dahit Rashid was 1983, 84.
So I live in that neighborhood as well as my in-laws, because it's the area next to the University of Jordan. So that all construction was basically made for the doctors and the professors and whoever teaches at this university to live nearby. So it's basically Hayy Dakatra, that's what they call it. It's the neighborhood for the doctors. So that's where I live, and my in-laws live, because also my father-in-law, he has a PhD and he got it from the US. They have very similar background than my parents, and they went back to Jordan to teach at the university as well as my parents.
So your parents, were they born in Jordan, or they were born in Palestine and came to Jordan, or they are first generation Jordanian, a Palestinian Jordanian?
Actually, both of my parents, they graduated high school from Palestine. My mom was one of the top graduates in her high school, Tawjihi, and then when they finished high school, they went to University of Jordan for their first degree. So that's why they moved to Jordan. They also moved for education, leaving their family behind, seeking education. So I think it runs in the family.
Yeah. So both of your parents are Palestinian, right?
Both of my parents. They're born in Palestine and they grew up in Palestine, but they moved to Jordan for education.
Wow. Yeah. See that?
Mhm.
So it's almost, it's the same path, right? And it's the
It's
same
the same.
pattern.
It's the
It's
same
the same
cycle.
drive. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's a small world, like I am. Last time I was in Jordan, 1983, Dahit Rashid, and you happen to be, you were born in Dahit Rashid or in Amman, and you grew up there, and then also your husband, which is fascinating. It is a small world. I don't know if it has to do with Palestinians, but we almost like the same thing, or we like the same
We will
styles.
find the link.
Yeah, always. We always
Mm.
find each other. It is absolutely true, and it's always been like that. In Saudi, funny enough, that we did not have a lot of Palestinian friends. We had Lebanese, Egyptian, Syrian, Armenian, Lebanese. But it was, Saudi in the 80s was the melting pot got bigger and bigger and bigger. My parents went to Saudi in 1967 or 66, leaving Jordan. So, my parents both, my mom is from Salt originally. My dad was born in Salt and his ancestors. But, coming to Saudi, not until I came to the United States, the funny thing is, I've met more of you guys in the United States than I met in Saudi, although, as you know, the impact and influence of Egyptian academics and Palestinian academics, they, built the education system in all the Gulf countries. Either I never had any other teacher unless they're either Palestinian or Egyptians. So, but that's funny how just the world changes, almost like the population shifts and the interest shifts. And after 35 years in this country, I'm starting to meet you guys one by one. But it is fascinating, and I'm so thankful for you guys. So tapping into higher education, now you're practicing, your status has changed. Now you're a wife, you're a mother, and share with us how you envision raising now your children in a bicultural household. And we like to call it multicultural adaptability or multicultural competency. When we came into the United States, we're very much tied into our culture back home. But now, first generation Americans, Palestinian, Jordanian Americans, as your children, how do you envision, and what do you think the challenges are going to be raising them?
So now, as a mom, like I like to tend to think about it, how to pass all of this on to my kids and all the things that we actually talked about so far. And I want them to I want to raise my kids the way I was raised, with faith, with culture, with language, with pride in your roots, but also with the openness and the curiosity that this society encourages. It's not about choosing the Palestinian, Jordanian part or just the American or one way or another. It's about taking the best of the both worlds. And I want them to love where they live, but never forget where they came from. And it's the home is no longer just a place. It's the legacy that I'm trying to build inside my kids and around them, and the environment that we're creating around them. And to hold on to the values and use them as a foundation to build the life around them and with them, and know who they are. And so you can become who you're meant to be without being detached or without your own core principles and values. It's not that easy, but I think you need to have a good community around you to build that community, and rely on your people.
Like the saying go, right? It takes a village. It takes a village to raise kids. I mean, parents are important. They are the key holder of, the value and the mindset and the belief system for those children. But to empower, encourage, maintain that belief system, it does take a village, absolutely. And I spoke to some Arab families, either Egypt or Palestinians, some of them actually would take their children back at the high school age because they are so worried about their children losing that, having been influenced too much by the Western ideologies and Western thoughts and beliefs, that the kids are going to let go of our belief system, the traditional belief system, like you said, faith, society, culture, customs, what to do, what to say, when to say it, that etiquette, that code of conduct, so to speak, how you conduct yourself within the Arab culture and Arab society. Are you worried about a challenge like that you might say is like, let's go. We're going back.
I totally understand that, and I see why. And I don't know how things will look like in 10, 15 years. But the saying, it takes a village, really resonates with me every single day, especially considering my own experiences from adapting to the new environment and building a life away from our home country. So when I first moved to the US, I quickly realized that creating a sense of belonging and community wasn't something I could achieve alone. And just like any phase of life, whether starting a career, having family, or navigating a new culture, you need a supportive network. And having that is very crucial. And finding your own village meant reaching out and connecting with others who shared similar values, experiences, and backgrounds. In the beginning, it was building this village was a challenge. Of course, I miss the close-knit community I had back in Jordan, the familiar faces, the shared traditions. It was easy. It came with no effort. But here, through effort and openness, my husband and I are managing to create a small community here. And this support is invaluable. It's not just about having people around you for the social interaction, but it's also to give examples for the kids and for yourself also. It also provides the emotional support and the sense of understanding that you are here away from home. You're creating your own home here. So this village will help you celebrate and you celebrate your own traditions and celebrate life, and also to navigate the challenges. It's not that easy to build a new home away from home, but this experience is it has reinforced the idea that no one can thrive in isolation, and you need the people around you. And as you said, you meet more people who are Palestinian in the US more than in Saudi. And I agree, there's a lot of us all over the world. So connections and networking helped a lot to create this village.
The level of adaptability, the level of competency that the Palestinian people have showed me, being, a hybrid. I'm like a mix. But, my dad never lived in Palestine. He was born and raised in Jordan, Salt. But regardless, when I used to, sit with, Jidditi, my dad's mom, my paternal grandmother, Zia Nabilsi, Allah yarhamha wa yahsin ilayha, because she had a cousin, bint Khalidha, I think she still lived in Nablus till she passed. So she used to go and visit, and when I used to see her in Jordan, just tell me more, it's like, how is it? And sometimes she's so nostalgic about Palestine, although she was born in Salt, my grandmother, but she's so nostalgic about Palestine that she will completely goes mute. She was so sad that she was speechless about her sadness. And all she asked him was like, give me a cigarette. And she'll just puff that cigarette and then just tears coming, down. But it's fascinating how the Palestinian attachment to the land and to their origin, even though you are not born there, even though you never lived in Palestine. She used to go visit. My dad never been to Palestine. But the moment I would ask my paternal grandmother about it, the sadness, actually, she was muted she was silenced by that sadness, and just tears coming down her cheek. And I used to console her and stuff. And I said, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to, make you so sad or upset, but I just want to know, because my dad had no idea. So I wanted to know what kind of life or how her cousin was living there, under those circumstances. But again, fast the attachment to our roots. And my dad used to tell me that it doesn't matter where you go, how big you are, how rich you are, how educated you are, don't ever forget who you are, where you came from. Although he never lived there, but even that virtual attachment is so strong, because like you said, and you put it beautifully, that the tribe and that village constantly reminding you of where you come from. And you have mentioned to me that when I shared with you, I noticed that first or second generation Palestinian Americans are more traditional than I am. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, a very traditional culture. And you said something that really resonated with me. And Dr. Meher Massis validated that on his episode, saying that my daughter's never been to Palestine, but they are a lot more passionate about being Palestinian than even I am. And you explain it to me that, Palestinian family implant that passion, and you're valuing your origin much more, because they're so worried and so scared that their children, since they are born here, not to have that attachment.
That's true. Like, while your environment changes, your belief system adapts, but you don't want it to dissolve. And because of how things are more open, and there is the social media, the documentation of things, we have more access than our parents or our grandparents to what happened. And I can easily look up something that happened 10 years ago. I have more access to information, to videos, to photos. Probably that's also helped us to be more attached, because we didn't just listen to stories told by our grandparents. We also have an access to information from different other resources, with pictures, with videos, not just the storytelling part that they grew up with.
So let's move on your parents in academia, medical school. A lot of your family is in, high education professions. So is there an event or a certain person that really impacted your inspiration to become a dentist?
Okay. Like, education is something powerful. It's something that my family always leaned on. It's a way out of limitation, and it's a way through the limitation. I have so many people to be inspired by in my family, because education wasn't an optional, and it was your path to change and to your dignity. And we were raised to see education not just as a goal, but also as a way of life. It was a bridge that carried our family to where we are now. And I truly believe it's the greatest tool that we have to move from the struggle to opportunity. I remember the week I graduated from high school very vividly, because it's not because it was a big step for me, but because the same week my mom received her PhD and my sister graduated from medical school. We went for a photo shoot, the three of us. I was a high school graduate, my sister medical school graduate, and my mom was a PhD. And I think we were the happiest because my mom had her PhD more than my graduation or my sister. We were so proud that we saw my mom going through studying while we were also studying. It still gives me chills to think about it. And my mom was, and she still is, a proof that it's never too late to chase your goals. That moment, I think, shaped the way I see women, their persistence, and the lifelong journey of learning. It's so powerful to watch her, a mom of 5, walking the stage in her cap and gown, and she proved to me that it's never too late to chase your dreams. And that moment will forever be one of my biggest inspiration. Seeing my siblings in healthcare and in teaching settings, growing up, there was never a difference between a boy and a girl in our house. If anything, my sisters and I had more opportunities than my brother. And my family truly lived the idea that the Palestinian intellects, whether male or female, carry a legacy of excellence and responsibility. And we carry this responsibility to present a people who have endured so much and yet continue to give to the world academics, doctors, teachers, leaders. Um, and basically, I believe that the environment that I grew up with shaped my path. I had also my grandmother, Allah yarhamha. She had 10 children and she never went to school herself. But while her youngest son was learning to read and write, she quietly sat beside him and taught herself. She learned how to read and write by herself, and that image that stayed with me, like a woman determined to learn no matter the circumstances. It's one of the reasons that I was okay to go through many degrees to be able to practice here in the US. It's a powerful example of lifelong learning. It broke all age and gender barriers. Also, like looking at my sisters and my family, they inspire me to be always a better version of myself every day. Watching them pursuing their higher education, build beautiful families, achieve so much on both personal and professional levels. They set a really high standard that constantly motivates me. Their dedication and their resilience and balance between the career success and the family life remind me of the values that we were raised with. And this pushed me more to keep growing, striving, and giving my best. But if I want to say the most inspirational or like I said, I have several people in my mind. My parents, they fueled the love of science and learning. And dentistry, for example, called to me because it was very personal. Dentistry, as you know, combines science, art, and service. And I felt that that was my true calling. You just don't heal teeth and restore confidence. You also restore dignity, you restore health. It's very powerful. It also allowed me to connect with the patients on a human level. I'm sure you can relate to that too. It's a career that lets you build your relationships, maybe add more people to your own village, and then you can create and trust and make people smile, literally and metaphorically. And the pursuit of higher education in this field gave me the tools to take that calling even further. And as all these experiences that I just mentioned in my life and upbringings truly humbled me and helped me accept the fact that I have to go and redo my dental education, go through studying, exams, and all the repetition. I didn't say, oh, I'm old now, I can't do that. I already finished studying life and I became working and I had my own income and all that, but canceling all that and go through all the repetition just to be able to practice in a different country. It's because of all the experiences I had in my life. My parents, they didn't just talk about education, they lived it. My mom, like wearing her doctor robe while I wore my own graduation cap, we weren't just mother and daughter celebrating, we were peers in purpose. So I think that also keeps me motivated to keep up with what life brings ahead of me.
Wow, Nour, you put this in absolutely beautiful. I got goosebumps and I'm holding my tears back. What a powerful moment for Palestinian women, for all three of you guys celebrating your achievements together. That is, I would pay anything to be in that day with you guys. It's absolutely beautiful and congratulations. And it sounds like your parents did really a good job not to tie you in with the traditional gender role expectations, and had a very unlimited mindset about, education and pursuing your dreams and your aspirations. They set an example with your siblings. They said your mom set an example with herself. Your grandmother set an example with herself by teaching herself literacy. So that is absolutely beautiful. And also, it proves that the traditional tribal connection can be very beneficial to our growth. I hate to say it, but some of the Western views about our tribal traditional connection is, it's going to limit you. You're not going to thrive. You're not going to grow. But you are a live example that you use that traditional tribal connection to uplift you, to validate you, to empower you, to continue your passion, especially after 6 years. Like you said, you were independent, career, Palestinian woman in Jordan. You were a periodontist in Jordan for 6 years. You had your own income, you had your own independency. But you, like you said, dismantle this life and move on and start all over again. But I feel that the reason why you came to here, United States, so you can meet your life partner and have this beautiful family. I don't think it has anything to do with dentistry. Dentistry might have been the vehicle, but I think it was destiny. And here we are, right? We are on this Mindset Mastery Moment platform talking about it and showing the world that, you absolutely can do it. But it is absolutely beautiful story. So we're getting close to the end of our hours. My last question to you is, if you are talking to a young Palestinian in Jordan that wants to or thinking about leaving home, displacing herself for education or for any other circumstance, what would you tell her? What would be your most important advice or the lesson that she can use in order to, have a smooth transition or a process assimilation in the new culture?
Okay. My advice would be, first, I'd say believe in yourself. And second, don't be afraid to leave, but don't leave everything behind. Do it, take the leap, but don't take it alone. I was never truly alone. My sisters and my parents, my entire family were always a phone call away. Their support was the compass that helped me navigate each phase. And before marriage, as a student, as an ambitious woman, and after marriage, as a wife, building a new life with my partner. Now, as a mother of two, raising my children with love, faith, and with culture. You'll grow and you'll face challenges. You will change, of course, you will. But life in the U.S. brings new perspectives and new ways of thinking. But that doesn't mean that you lose yourself. You evolve, you take the best of the both worlds, and you lean on your people. I always had my sisters and my family cheering me on. They gave advices. They reminded me of who I was when I had doubts. That support system is everything. And now, as a mom, I'm thinking about how to pass all this on. I want to raise my kids the way I was raised, and but also, again, to take the best of the both worlds. Like as a woman, I've worn many hats: student, doctor, immigrants, mother, a wife. Each one has taught me more about who I am. But hold on to your values and use them as your foundation. Build your life around them. Know who you are, so you can become who you're meant to be.
That is beautiful. Beautiful. So in other episode, we talked about the struggle of adaptability. You tapped into transfer power, transferring that power to your children. Now you have seen both worlds, world of Jordan and as a Palestinian Jordanian, and then of the world as an American. Now you can design some kind of a model, like you said, take the best of it and drop the worst of it. Don't discard what you did not like and transfer that power to your children. And in my generation and older, it was frowned upon for you to be both, believe it or not. You're either an Arab or an American. Either drop it and pick something up and move on. Because we were so afraid to be judged, I think we had some kind of a level of approval addiction. We're very addicted to be approved in the new culture, and it's taboo to show your, Arab characteristics or or live in a very traditional structure, in your home. We used to hide those things like, no, I'm just going to eat my ethnic food at home. I will not seek an Arabic restaurant and be seen to eat an Arabic restaurant. But that was in the 80s and early 90s. But your generation's a little bit better. Now it's cool. It's very advantage. It's beautiful to have both cultures, and the world is ready to accept you guys as a duality of both cultures. So it is a beautiful thing. I think even the new generation, your children and the, first generation American, second generation American, that, your kids and your grandchildren, they will have even more of that to be able to celebrate both cultures. And that's absolutely beautiful. Before, we either that or this. Now you should do that and this, and become this hybrid, because then you have the ability to relate to one culture or the other. You have the ability to accommodate certain culture or the other. But the old-fashioned way, what we were advised is drop one and completely simulate 100% with the new culture. And before you know it, what's going to happen is our roots are going to be eroded. We won't be able to teach our kids or teach the new generation. So you guys are doing a much better job, in my opinion, than my generation or the older generation. We were just so scared. We're so paranoid to be judged that, oh, you're so traditional Arab. We're not going to have the education that we're looking for. We're not going to have the job or the position or the position in society that we're looking for. And we sacrifice everything to come here. But as the 90s started, like I said, I just started to see a little bit more acceptance and tolerance to be in both cultures. Mm-hmm. And I hope you guys are feeling that too, as the new generation in the United States.
I think I can totally relate with what you're saying. But breaking the stereotype and moving forward, and no matter what your title or position is, you still stick to your values and your core principles, and embrace them and live with them, yet also enjoying the new culture and the new place that you are in, and making the best of both your family traditions and your before life, before moving to the US, and what the US or the new place offers.
Yeah, it's a pre-US and post-US kind of thing. And it is a process. I believe that you should trust yourself, like you said, trust the process. It's not going to be overnight. You land in the US and everything's going to change. You have to go through the growth periods and hope for the best. So we have reached the end of our hour, Dr. Nour, and I can talk to you for hours. And I'm sure, I hope you agree to come back again. We would love to talk more about family and relationships. So as a reminder, our episodes are uploaded every single Wednesday on the Spotify platform and the Apple Podcast, but also they are available for you guys to watch on the Greenwood Dental Partner YouTube channel. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you like this content, please like and share and hit the notification button in order not to miss any episodes. And if you have any comments or ideas or stories that we'd like us to share, please leave those in the comments below. And thank you, Dr. Nour Alzubaidi, for coming on. I'm sure your life is very, very busy right now with the new status that you have. I hope to see you guys next time. This is Slava the Jordanian.